maintain and expand her speaking skills as well as to network. Today, Atta'ya will be giving her 10th speech, which is the purpose of the speech is to inspire your audience. And she's going to be inspiring the audience by appealing to noble motives and challenging the audience to achieve a higher level of beliefs or achievement. So we look forward to hearing her speech, which is called Unknown Universe. Please join me in welcoming Atta'ya Reed Brown.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. So, I have a question for you. If I were to tell you that I could give you life and unlock all the boundaries of your mind, would you believe me? Maybe. I bet you never knew that there's a universe inside of you. Now, my sentiments may differ a little bit because those are actually words from a song by Alina Baraz, and I believe it's pronounced Galimatias. So I may say, on the other hand, I bet you do know that there's a universe inside of you, and I would like to address that today. Today, I'm going to speak briefly on a book that I've been reading by T.D. Jakes entitled Instinct. Plug, awesome book. My goal is to encourage and inspire you to acknowledge the universe inside of you and to follow your instincts that will ultimately transform your workplace, liberate your career, and heighten your relationships. So I'm going to speak to 6 specific areas, and those areas are 1, challenging the status quo, 2, enter space, 3, break the monotony, 4, seek alignment, 5, be a peeping Tom, not that kind of peeping Tom, and 6, unlock the universe. So let's go. Challenging status quo. So all throughout this book, T.D. Jakes shared these standalone, powerful quotes. In my dream world, I've shared that I would have probably about 8 cars. Well, I'd also have like a 10,000 square foot house. Not because so much I like to entertain or because I need to have all these rooms, and not because I want to pay the bills that come along with a 10,000 square foot house, but I need the wall space. I need the wall space because I love inspirational quotes. And I want to take them all and just post them up. If anybody has ever watched the show Being Mary Jane, not that Mary Jane, but in the movie, she has yellow Post-its, and they'll be posted on the walls, on doorknobs, on her bed headboard, and when people come over, she'll go running around and grab them off, right? But I'm like, no, I'm going to go beyond Post-its, right? I'm going to put them on like a poster and frame them. So as people come through my house, they can receive all of this inspiration. Possibly emulate something that they receive from these things. So one of those statements was, beyond the literal, above the bottom line, and beneath the surface. This is how he started out the book, with this challenge for us to basically go beyond, right? And I thought about Star Trek, going into unknown places, right? Unknown universes. And what did that mean to me? Just because someone says it's so, just because someone is rich, someone has reached a certain level of success, does it mean that we should emulate them? Does it mean that it's our truth? Quite possibly not, right? There's goods and bads to emulation. There's goods and bads to who we're going to follow. So he goes on to say, do not limit yourselves to the script and structure of other people's minds. So who is our first role model? Our parents, right? I recently watched this movie. I can't recall the name of it, but I remember the premise. And the daughter was a dentist. And she began dating a guy, and he said, why a dentist? Why be in people's mouths all day, right? And she said, well, my dad's a dentist. And my grandfather was a dentist, and his dad was a dentist. So why not be a dentist, right? But he challenged her and said, but did that mean you were supposed to be a dentist? is that really what you love? She said, well, I'm good at it. I've been successful at it. But where do we take from that and say, just because mom and dad said so, now I'm not talking about anybody's parents, right? They've all done a great job by us all. But does that mean that that's really the path that we're supposed to follow? T.D. Jakes also speaks about, and it resonated with me because I was raised by my grandmother, born in 1925. So she had a work ethic that many of us are familiar with, again, from our parents or our grandparents, that's strong. You get up every day, you go to work, you go and do what you have to do, right? You try to get a good paying job and you stick it out until retirement, pray on that pension, and you're good to go. It's a wonderful premise. It's a great basis. But is that fulfilling our bottom line, our goal? And is that a place where we may need to say, we need to step out of mom, dad, grandma's mind and the words on the tip of my tongue, example from the past, right? So he asks us, have you maximized your findings or only stored the data and acquiesced it to the mundane routine of fitting in what's already been done? So we come to work and we just do what we're told to do, right? So a little later, I'm going to actually talk about that. We come in and we do what we're supposed to do because we know how to do it, but when do we get into the why of doing it? And how does that, again, transcend us into another universe? So to wrap that up, I want to give you my first challenge. Why play by man-made rules? I always like to say, I will let no man-made barrier hold me back. Number 2, enter space. Enter that space of your brain, of your mind, of your heart, of your soul, of your being that we unfortunately tend to shut out. Now, do we shut it out because we want to shut it out? More often than not, no. I come to work, I'm up at 4:45, I'm in the shower at a certain time, I wake my kids up at a certain time, I have an alarm for when to walk out of my door to be sure that I meet every destination, including work, by a certain time every morning. We have this monotonous lifestyle that we fall into, not by purpose, but because it is what it is. So when do we say it's time to push beyond that? And often it's not until we fall into that monotony, right? And we find ourselves kind of clambered off in a corner. And we say, gosh, my life is just the same. It's always the same. Or maybe someone points it out, or maybe it'll be my speech today that will inspire you to say, gosh, I've been wanting to take that trip. I really love sewing. I'm going to take that class. I'm going to stop talking about it and getting the registration form every single time, but not signing it, paying for the registration, and doing it. I know for myself, when I pay for it, it's done. I do not like to lose money, okay? Once I pay for it, that's my push to say, I'm going to show up and show out ultimately. So T.D. Jakes tells us, he calls these our conventional caves. We find ourselves in the confines of a conventional cave, and he tells us to enter the space where our heart really resides. So 3, which I've already begun to speak on, is breaking the monotony, right? I talked about emulating, knowing that sometimes it's a good thing to emulate, and sometimes we have to know the difference. And we have to not find ourselves guilty of plagiarism. Not plagiarism in a paper, right? Plagiarizing someone else's reality. Because on the outside, it looks so good. They're driving that car and it looks so good. And then when you get that car, not realizing that you drive X amount of miles further than them, that SUV may not be the best deal for you. Maybe you should have gotten a hybrid. Whatever it is, right? Not being guilty of plagiarism. Not choosing compliance over convenient opportunities. One of the quotes that I will have to read, it's a tad long, but he says, anything that we do for years that doesn't match the inner imprint of our gifting will eventually become monotonous and routine, ritualistic and frustrating. Like a key that will fit a lock and yet is inadequately structured to let us open the door, we find ourselves jammed into a role that fulfills the needs of all those around us, but may not unlock the door to our universe. Next is seek alignment. How many people have gotten an alignment on their cars? I have to get it all the time. Those doggone high-profile tires kill me every day. They see me every month. Please realign my wheels. Why don't we align ourselves? Right? Taking the time to align ourselves. Like a light bulb without a lamp, that kind of disconnect can often foster the dark and sometimes saddened feelings of our lives. Last, I want to tell you to be a peeping Tom. Not looking in people's windows, but looking at other people's success. What was good? What was mediocre? What was bad? What am I going to use for myself to move myself forward, to unlock my universe? So in closing, I want to tell you, I do not mean to state that anybody's life is unfulfilled, but I do believe that we all have that universe within us that we don't tap into and we haven't explored because we find ourselves in a cave. So let's concentrate on what we do have, not what we don't, and fulfill our potential. Thank you.